Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AchieveRadio.
Welcome, everyone, live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here at AchieveRadio.com. Happy Monday, October 8th, also known as Columbus Day here in the United States. But we just say every Monday is Dr. Dean Day because it is the day that we all get together and be part of this community of people who know the truth about our bodies, that they are incredible geniuses, that they can operate and do amazing and miraculous things if they have the proper building blocks at a cellular level, and that they will provide us with health eternally, including, it has been proven by the immortal Henrietta Slack, and all kinds of other fabulous ways. And these are all the things that we've learned from Dr. Carolyn Dean, who herself is quite amazing, eternal person who's here once again just to give us the inspiration that we need and the information that we need so we can take care of our bodies, our minds, and our spirits and prosper and flourish and just thrive. Before I bring her on, I just want to remind you that she is a doctor and a naturopath. She's been at this for 50 years. She's seen it all, ladies and gentlemen. She's seen all the fads. She's seen all the trends. She's seen all the duplicity. She's seen all the BS. She's seen the truth. She's seen how her own formulas work. She sees the miracle of the body. She sees the interaction of the mind. She knows the desire of the human heart. She's seen it all, and she knows how to put it all together in very simple terms and deliver it to you in a way that you can grasp it, use it, and use it again for your own prosperity. But I will also say that just because she's a doctor and a naturopath and an herbalist and an acupuncturist and everything else like that does not mean she gives medical advice over the – oh, no, she does not give any medical advice. But what she will do is she will tell you what she would do if she were in your circumstances, and she's going to provide you with the information that she has so you can make good choices. So before we have any more hesitation here this evening, I lost my thingy, my whole radio thing, and now I don't know where I am, and I don't know where the children are, and I don't know how to bring her into the show. I am going to say welcome, Dr. Carolyn Dean, but then I'm not going to have any way to make the children because they disappeared off my screen, and I don't know where they went. Hold on. Wait, there she is.
I made them come.
I did it. Ooh. Hey, how you doing?
Hey. Oh, I'm doing great. Yes, Jenny, I love the intro. Once again, you've hit the nail on several heads. I have seen it all. And more on that will be revealed in this show, what I have to tell you in my little rant. But first, let's just dive right in. Magnesium weapon against toxicity. So this is Jenny's blog headline. As I say every week, I haven't got a clue what Jenny's going to put up, but it's always formidable and wonderful, and it properly states what we know about magnesium, and we can do 700-800 different shows about magnesium because it has that many biological processes going on. And when you look at magnesium and toxicity, we do know that our body requires magnesium for proper detoxification at the cellular level, at the tissue level, at the organ level, at all levels. So, as Jenny states in the blog, you can read along at drcarolyndeanlive.com, or you've gotten it in your email inbox Magnesium is a foundational nutrient on which detoxification systems depend for their function. Now, let me just sidebar here. I love sidebarring. Medicine doesn't even think about the body detoxifying. We didn't learn about this. We know there are P450 detoxification pathways. They're called that, but I don't think I learned it in med school. I did learn about it in naturopathic school. But detox, as I've written in the past, is just looked upon in medicine as sending someone to a drug rehab clinic or an alcohol rehab clinic. They don't even think the body has these necessary detoxification symptoms to keep us healthy. And here we are going on about our Realign, for example, with its methylated and food-based Bs, which are all up in the whole detoxification pathways, and the methionine, that's a precursor to glutathione, and it's sulfur-based along with taurine, so those two sulfurs go into the sulfur detoxification pathways, as well as the methionine and the methylated B vitamins go into the methyl detoxification pathway. So we are all about very gentle detoxification, and we don't talk about it enough. So I'm glad we're doing this preamble today, because what alternative medicine will do is it'll wait till you're so toxic that you have to do, according to them, some big detox, some chelation IV therapy to get out heavy metals and extra calcium, or do a lot of enemas, although I'm all for a weekly coffee enema myself, or do hot yoga and real hot saunas to detoxify. And these things tend to be harsh. Young people are all over those forms of detox because they just want to be like, they want to act like their body is under... They want to be tough, yeah. They want to be tough. They want to act like their body is under attack, and they're at war with the external environment and often with the internal environment. So they tough it out, and that's their, they get graded according to how tough they can be. But anyway, what we say with our Realign specifically is you can gently give your body the building blocks for gentle detoxification and be doing it every day and not wait until you're over the edge. So anyway, as we say, with proper magnesium levels and natural in the body, natural minerals like calcium can, without proper magnesium levels in the body, natural minerals like calcium can accumulate within your cells because magnesium deficiency causes cells to lose the ability to maintain normal mineral concentrations and thus exhibit toxic effects. The health of detoxification systems also is critical because exposure to environmental contaminants, synthetic chemicals, and pollution is a reality in our industrialized world. So, just how does magnesium support detox? Now, this is good. First and foremost, magnesium's major role in the production of energy as ATP puts magnesium at the top of the list when it comes to detoxification. After all, ATP provides your cells with the energy they require for pumping out toxins before, during, and after they accumulate. So that's very true. And I know ad nauseum I've talked about magnesium being required in 6 of the 8 steps in the Krebs cycle that makes ATP. So high levels of energy are needed to function at the sodium-potassium pumping station, and also the pumping of calcium out of the cells. So it all requires energy. And yes, when you don't have the energy even to get up in the morning, you can imagine what your cells are doing. They're just accumulating all this toxicity. They can't get rid of it. It just builds up. You get You get edema, you get puffy, you get bags under your eyes, you get all the things that are related to liver and kidney toxicity. Abundant, highly absorbed magnesium that flows through the body's pathways allows for the creation of energy needed to pump excess calcium from the cells. Now, this is really important because in the nerve and muscle cells, if there's too much calcium, these cells just keep firing. They fire themselves to death. They twitch to death. They spasm to death, and they cause a lot of symptoms on the way out. And that's what has allopathic medicine all confused, because they think that these are neurologic conditions and start putting people on really intense drugs to suppress those symptoms. Another aspect of magnesium's role is its impact on metals, including aluminum, mercury, lead, cadmium, beryllium, and nickel. Maintaining sufficient levels of magnesium supports the body's efforts to detoxify these heavy metals. For example, lead and cadmium are known to exert cumulative toxic effects on the heart and kidneys. Due to lead's high toxicity in cases of exposure, lead detox is imperative. Magnesium appears to competitively inhibit uptake of both metals, especially when they are found together. So it stops them from being absorbed in the first place, and it also helps kick them out. So again, don't wait until you're toxic before you take your Realign. Just take it every day as gentle detoxifier. Even with mercury, magnesium will help get rid of mercury. And if you have mercury, we had a customer recently who said his health really deteriorated 3 years ago when he had all his fillings replaced with mercury fillings. He was told that he was going to have silver put in, but what dentists don't tell their patients that silver is really 50% mercury. So he had 16 fillings replaced putting mercury in his mouth 3 years ago. I mean, I thought this was back in the dark ages using mercury in fillings, and I thought most people knew about it. But he had that done, and then cancers, various horrible conditions, until nobody was helping him until he started doing his own research. So, yes, mercury poisoning is alive and well. And magnesium plays a significant role in supporting the body's antioxidant systems. An important aspect of detoxification with respect to antioxidant status. Magnesium helps prevent the accumulation of oxidative byproducts. It is known that magnesium deficiency causes accumulation of oxidative products in the liver, kidneys, skeletal muscles, and red blood cells. When antioxidant systems fail to function properly, that's your glutathione and your sulfur detox pathways and methyl detox pathways. When that happens, there's increased free radical activity, creating oxidative products, causing damage. By supporting optimal antioxidant activity, magnesium helps reduce free radical damage and therefore lessens harmful effects. Now, that's the blog. And
hey, Carolyn.
Yeah.
That's Ginny's blog. She wrote all of that out?
Well, Ginny will often say she cuts and pastes from my book, so we'll just leave it at that.
I got to post that on my Facebook page. That's a good summary.
Yeah.
But it leads to a question. All that you're saying, science has proven the body processes do what you're talking about, the Krebs cycle and all that.
Yeah.
What is medicine researching? If they're not looking at toxicity, what are they looking into?
Well, they're looking at the chemicals that the body forms when it gets toxic and looking for drugs that will get rid of those accumulated toxins, many of which are from drugs. Seriously.
So the surface symptoms,
yeah.
The effects of the toxicity, they don't think there's a way to get at the bottom of toxicity.
No, they don't think there's a drug that will prevent toxicity. It's got to be a drug, Bob. If there isn't a drug, they're not interested, and they do not see anything about prevention because it's not a drug, it's not patented. Seriously, that's it.
Well, how come they think a drug will do it?
Because that's their MO. That's their modus operandi. They know nothing else.
So they like to think that they're going to find a combination of chemicals that will do it.
Yep.
And you're saying that magnesium does it automatically.
It does it automatically. Okay, now let me move on. We got a lot to cover here. So here's a word on oxidation. I've been saying many times recently that I'm very upset, but I'm not. I don't get too emotional about it. But it's very frustrating to see the number of antioxidants that people are taking. And let me look up what antioxidants in terms of supplements, what is considered antioxidants. I haven't. All it comes up with is just a huge number of supplements. So antioxidants: vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E, beta-carotene, lycopene, lutein, selenium, manganese. I'm clicking for more. And zeaxanthine, flavonoids, flavones, catechins, polyphenols, all types of antioxidants, and they say phytonutrients. So what we're being fed is information that we are creating too many oxidative products in the body, and we need antioxidants. We're creating free radicals, and we have to get rid of them. Now, the bottom line is that the body's metabolism is oxidation. The body will use oxygen and break down oxygen, break apart the O2 oxygen in its metabolism to create, among other things, energy. The Krebs cycle, I've talked about that. That's where we get our ATP energy. And what is said about the Krebs cycle and oxygen is that the Krebs cycle does not directly require oxygen. It can only take place when oxygen is present, however, because the Krebs cycle relies on byproducts from the electron transport chain, which requires oxygen. So they're intimately connected. So please get my point that the body has to create the breakdown of oxygen, which is oxidation, which is free radicals, in order to metabolize. But then it depends on its own antioxidants like glutathione in order to mop things up. My concern is if you're taking high amounts of antioxidants, and I include high doses of vitamin C in this too, then are you not interfering with the oxidation that should be happening just for your own metabolism? And what we've been seeing in the past, I guess it's almost a year now, where we've had just so many tens of thousands of people on our products, and we're getting kind of handfuls of people who have taken our products for 6, 7, 8 months. They've been doing really well, and all of a sudden they hit a wall. And we used to think the wall was because they were still taking medications, and we said, well, go to your doctor and think about weaning down or off your blood pressure drugs because your blood pressure is fine, and maybe you don't need your atrial fibrillation drugs because you don't have AFib anymore. So we used to think it was the drugs that would then kind of have more side effects in the body, or the body was clicking along really nicely, and then it started to kind of choke on the drugs. So it meant, well, it's time to look at these drugs. And now there have been this overflow of people who are still continuing to swallow a dozen or more supplements while taking their Remag and Remite, and they're not feeling as well. And it's crazy sometimes when I get the email with the review of their history and what's going on. That, well, I didn't feel so good, so I cut back on my Remag and Remite, and they're still taking all this other stuff. And as many of you already know, and I've said this many times, if you come to us and you're on your dozen supplements and you start taking Remag, Remite, Realign, RNA drops, Restructure, and you feel so much better, then that is a pure and honest indication that those supplements weren't helping you. And why are you keeping taking them? So that's our job now with people, is to remind them that you may not need all these supplements. You are just taking them, in a sense, because you're reading the words and you're hoping, you're buying the belief that these products are going to help you. So,
hey, Carolyn. So, are you unique in having that pattern?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. I'm pretty sure because, most more natural medicine practitioners, they'll be selling a whole bunch of supplements, and so they'll be promoting as many supplements as possible. So anyway, Bob, that's enough. I appreciate your input, but I'm too busy right now to talk to you. Okay?
I'm sulking.
You don't sulk. Okay, so now this brings me to the next point about supplements. And, when I've been at this, as Ginny said, seriously, for 50 years I've been reading and studying natural medicine, and supplements are new. There weren't any supplement stores in Halifax when I was going to med school.
Carolyn, and you know where you started reading this stuff? In the slums of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
That's what's incredible.
With Joe Dunn Sloan studying the D cell.
Yes.
We're going to be talking about the D cell and then how it morphed into the RNA drops and I cell on Thursday in our webinar. So yeah, way back then I started.
Carol, he was one of these ultimate Americans who goes to California and becomes a nut. Remember that mythology?
It's okay, Bob.
No, but wait a minute.
Want to talk
so he had a great library of crazy books from the 40s and 50s you'd never seen or heard of, and you started reading them. That's how it started, right beside Watts in Los Angeles.
Yep. Thank you, Bob. Bob, the historian.
Yes.
So what's going on then with all these supplements? And it comes to mind that I started really ragging on supplements about 6-8 months ago. Look, you're taking too many. We don't know what they're like. I talk about herbs. I don't want to get involved with herbs because if they're not organic, if I can't pick them out of my own yard, how do I know if they're not adulterated and sprayed? And I remember back just before I got into the health freedom movement, I was interested in putting the MIR technique, the homeopathic acupuncture herbal injectable. I wanted to put those herbs in capsules. So I went around to various companies and asked them what their policy was. And I remember asking Douglas Labs if they would make these herbal capsules for me and what would they do if they got a contaminated batch of herbs from most of them were coming from China, and they still do. And I said, do you throw them out? And they said, no, we spray them with this, that, and the other chemical, there was a various stages that they do because they get contamination all the time. And I said, well, would that be put on the label? No, we're not. Well, if we can prove in our certificate of analysis that there are no bugs, no this, no that, then we don't have to say we sprayed it with, and I'm forgetting if it was nitrous oxide or what they sprayed on herbs. And I said, okay, thank you very much, goodbye. So then I went trying to find what company I could depend on. That's the first I learned of Codex Alimentarius, and that is the World Health Organization and the World, what's the funding one? World Health Organization and what's the financial one, Bob? I'm on a roll here, and I just stumbled. WHO and the IMF. Yeah, no, it's before the IMF. Codex. Let's see. Codex is the WHO and International Food Standards. FAO, Codex Food Standard. It's basically standardizing food and dietary supplements throughout the world. And they say it's the FAO here, Food and Agriculture Organization, World Health Organization, and Food and Agriculture Organization. There's another word too. And what they were doing is trying to create supplements that could be, taken across borders, shipped across borders, sold across borders, that were all standardized so that everybody could know that everything was the same and they didn't have to check shipments, I guess. And the standardization, it was run mostly by Germany, and the German delegation was run by the German drug companies. And it was stated that the reasoning for wanting low-potency synthetic supplements was so they wouldn't interfere with drugs. So when I learned that, I said, well, that's it, I can't. You can't fight that. That's what they want. That's what they'll get. So that's when, back in 2004, 2005, I started to look for companies that would be low potency, would stay true to the mission, and be well absorbed, all the rest of it. And I really couldn't find anything that I could depend on. And that's when I started to work on getting the REMAG in the form it is now, 100% absorbed, et cetera, et cetera. So what's happened since then, and I'm just finding this out recently when I was asked by the Natural Calm people just for consultation. I've been consulting with Natural Calm for decades. And I've never, until the last few years, really mentioned Natural Calm. When I used to consult with them, for them, I would talk about magnesium. They wouldn't require me to mention Natural Calm. I would just talk about magnesium or magnesium citrate powder. So what do I find out? But a few years ago, Natural Vitality, Natural Calm was bought by a company called WellNext. So they marketed nutritional products. And WellNext then changed their name in 2017 to Nutrinext. I don't know why. And then April of this year, Clorox bought Nutrinext for $700 million. Now, Nutrinext, their brands included Rainbow Light, which I used to recommend as a really high-quality vitamin multiple, and there's NeoCell, which I don't know, but also Renew Life, which is the big digestive health brand, a brand called Stop Aging Now, and Burt's Bees. So there you have some of the companies I used to recommend, and the Natural Calm people. They're owned by Clorox. So what does that mean? It means it's owned by a huge conglomerate that just it's based on selling. It's based on their shareholders and giving the dividends to their shareholders. And if the shareholders think that the natural calm is costing too much money and may want to cut back on the quality of the ingredients, whatever, they will do that. And what I want to say to people is, I know a lot of you are using Natural Calm. I want you to tell me if you think the quality is slipping, because another brand, I didn't really use it, but Jordan Rubin's brand, what was it, Garden of Life, well, he sold a few years ago, actually, to a company called Atrium. Now, Atrium is out of Canada, because what happened in Canada is that when Codex came along and Codex said, well, we're going to make you treat all your supplements like drugs. That's how we're going to control supplements. Well, Canada said, well, we're not going to let you do that. We'll do it ourselves. So they put all these conditions on supplement sales to the tune of losing 3/4 of the Canadian supplement industry. And I don't know a lot of them, but some of them sold out to this Atrium company, which is a Canadian company. It bought up all these people who couldn't afford the hundreds of thousands of dollars to give drug numbers to their supplements. And then what do I find out? That Atrium, which now owns Garden of Life, Wobenzyme, the company Pure, Serve Oil, Douglas Labs, Clean Athletic, Orthica, AOV, Genestra, Wild Rose, Minami, Pharmax, and Unda. Now, Wobenzyme, Sear Oil, Unda, Wild Rose, Genestra, they used to be the go-to organic, ethical companies that we as naturopaths used to refer to. Okay, so Atrium owns him. Then what happened? Oh, Nestle just bought out Atrium for $2.3 billion. So there goes the quality of those supplements, possibly. And then I started looking at all the big pharma stuff and how, back after World War II, IG Farben, the concentration camp gas producer, they were broken up after the war into 8 companies. One of them is Bayer. And what's happened with Bayer now is Bayer, 2006, they acquired Sherling. 2014 acquired Merck and Company. 2018 acquired Monsanto for $63 billion. So we are at war, and I guess my pledge has always been, I don't know how much I've said the words, but I'm not going to let my company be sold as an IPO, do an IPO on the stock market and be sold for shares to stockholders who will then control the company. You can't do that with products that have to maintain their integrity. So I'm going to be saying more and more to people, you really don't know what you're ingesting when you're buying these supplements and swallowing them and then coming to us and saying, I don't feel well. What's wrong? And just today somebody sent in that they were on just starting our things, actually, and we're on a couple of things. There's one called Embrace HR, ENBRACEHR. I think this is there's a lot of Embraces, but this one is $160 a bottle. And this is what's going to happen with Big Pharma. They are going to just jack up the prices so high. And the ingredients, there's some methylated bees. There's like little touches of this and that, like micrograms L-threonate magnesium, for example, there's 1 milligram. They just have the words there. It's like, let's sell these words and charge a lot of money. Phosphatidylserine, 12 milligrams. The studies on it are in the hundreds. So it's going to be more and more difficult for people to discern what they're taking, and they ask us all the time, and we try to tell them. And I like learning about this, and they're all going to be specific. There's one cavanase, neuroscience cavanase for the brain. It's got a B6 and taurine, and that's it. Well, where are all the other Bs? You can't just be taking one. And it will be sold as a standalone B for some, incredible brain recovery, and they won't even know that you have to take the Bs in a whole complex to really make them work. And certainly our real line, it has B6 and taurine, but it's got methylated B6, and all the Bs are methylated. So I am going to stop there and see what Ginny has to say about these new events in my head.
Well, I'm really glad that you're bringing it up. I'm absolutely shocked about Natural Calm being owned by Clorox, and that just grosses me out because you just know what that means. I mean, I remember, many years ago, 3 or 4, I say many, but it seems like an eternity ago, when you were trying to decide what to do about the order fulfillment and how we would distribute our products. And you were very averse to having anybody be involved with our products who didn't love our products energetically. We wanted to, that's why we wrap all of our RNA drops in little blue paper with hearts on it. Because energetically, we want to transmit the love and the joy of living and life, and everything that we touch, we want to be, saturated in that positivity, that radiation, radiating that. And so can you even imagine how these huge, these companies full of just drony kind of blah, blah people are making this stuff that people are putting into their bodies? I mean, I think it's just gross.
It is.
Now, Jesus.
No, continue, sweetie.
I was just going to say, Jesus does say, and I do believe that if you pray over your food, if you pray over anything and say and bless it, that you can change the energy molecularly. We know that from Dr. Emoto's water experiments and everything. We have the power to change anything, and we don't have to be afraid of anything. But I'm just saying, in general, when I look at the quality of what we do, how we do it, and how the integrity that goes down to every single bottle that we send out to people, and I think about huge corporations like that, just, mass producing stuff. It's so different. It's so different.
Yeah, it is. It
Hey,
is.
Carolyn, what is wrong with Clorox other than what Ginny's saying?
Only that it is an IPO, if that's what you call these companies. It's traded on the stock market, and they're not beholden to the quality of what they produce or to their customers. They don't care about their customers. They care about their shareholders first. And if their shareholders say, well, we want more dividends, to cut the cost, the shareholders go to meetings and they see how much it's costing them to make Natural Calm, and they'll say, well, it costs us only 2 cents to make this cheap magnesium oxide. Why are we paying 10 cents to make Natural Calm? We want it to be 2 cents. And that's what will happen. They will try to find a cheap source that may be contaminated, et cetera, and maybe take out the organic stevia. They'll do all kinds of things. What I forgot to say about the Jordan Rubin's products, I told my chiropractor all this the other day, and he says, oh, my gosh, Garden of Life, I buy his, or they still think Jordan's running the company, his protein powder, and yeah, the past couple times I bought it, it's like there's less and less in the container. When they're making whatever 100,000 containers at once, and they can take out an ounce of each container, that's 100,000 ounces, and that's another whatever 100,000, that would be another like 50,000 units that they could sell. I'm not getting the math right, but it's all pennies. It's all down to pennies.
Yes, and you mentioned 10 minutes ago the little bits of bioflavins or bees or something they put in there. Then you said, but it's actually the studies do 100. You meant the bees, they study these things at 100 milligrams, not the little tiny bit they put in.
Correct. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, the research that was on phosphatidylserine was more in the hundreds, and they just put 12 milligrams in this particular product. So, yeah.
They don't study that tiny level.
Correct. Okay, Bob. Thank you. You're really inputting today. What's going on?
I don't know. Well, it's a very good show. The higher the show, the better the show, the more I get involved.
Oh, cool. Yeah, and Ginny, you mentioned about the drones working in these plants. Well, they're going to have robots making these things soon. So how synthetic is that going to be?
No, I mean that now. They do. These massive plants are so automated. They are being run by robots now. I mean, there's absolutely no. And, when we talk about the RNA drops in our webinar this week, we will go into the process and the micro batch manufacturing that we do that is totally absent of machines. It's totally organic. It is beautiful. So, I mean, like I said, it's just there's no comparison, and this is what does factor in. Now, one of the things, we've got a lot of questions here, Carolyn, and they know we're almost to the top of the hour, but Barbara brings up, she says, what does Dr. Dean think of standard process? Do you want to talk about that for a second?
Well, that fell away, maybe 15, 18 years ago when they went non-organic. All of a sudden it was too expensive for them to get organic animal products, so they stopped being organic. And I was in New York at the time doing AIDS and chronic fatigue research, and a few people were on standard process, and they started complaining that they just didn't feel well on these products. So that was that. So I use Antranex, standard process, sometimes Cataplex C, but that's all. And
have they been bought out?
Well, they joined with a group called MediHerb, so they became a herbal and supplement company. So I don't know who owns them. I mean, people could do research, but they went non-organic, so that was it for them.
Yeah, I think the standard process, what they hearken to is that they have organic soil, but their seeds are not necessarily exclusively organic, at all. And they've got other things going on up there. Right. And, anyway. Okay, so there, Barbara, we go. Now, let's get to a couple of these other questions, Carolyn. One, way back when you were talking earlier, you said you talked about mercury, the guy who had mercury fillings, and that how silver and mercury are mixed together to make an amalgam, which is, true, and they use tin and copper and all kinds of other stuff. Mm-hmm. But now somebody was freaking out and thinking, how does that relate to pico silver? So let me read the question. As you noted during your opening monologue, silver is 50% mercury. Then how does that relate to using pico silver? I don't think that's what you said, but I want to clean it up just in case.
Well, just they're using the word silver in silver fillings, but really the silveriness is mercury, which is the color of silver. It's got nothing to do with silver. And pico silver, I mean, you're talking about a metal compared to a mineral. Our pico silver is the mineral stabilized ionic form of silver that has nothing to do with with silver's the metal. I don't know what else to say. Please read our silver report at drcarolyndeanlive.com under books. It comes up right at the top, so you understand what we're working with. It's. I guess it's like, I don't know. I can't compare. It's just you're pulling silver out of the air and applying it to pico silver. It's good. I'm not talking about that at all.
Yeah, they're not the same thing. Okay, and you also talked about, your concern about people taking, say, 10,000 milligrams of vitamin C every day and inundating the body with things that it may not require, especially if it's getting all the other stuff. Then Arlene typed it in and said, then how much vitamin C should you be taking every day?
I don't know where I've said it, maybe in the Remite Recalcia book. If people have adrenal problems, I say 1,000 milligrams, maybe 2,000 at the most, of ascorbic acid, because it's hard to get a food-based. And as well, 250 to 500 milligrams of food-based. So you're using the ascorbic acid kind of medicinally to support the adrenal glands, and then the food-based you're using to get all your various vitamin C components. Vitamin C is not just ascorbic acid. It's got 4 different ascorbates, and if you look at the whole complex of vitamin C as, say, an orange, you're looking at the juice, the fiber, and the peel. So with our vitamin C that we're bringing out, it will have all the 4 ascorbates and all the bioflavins and the rutins and hesperidins and all that. So it's, and I guess the vitamin C is important in my world because I keep telling people not to eat too many fruits, so you're not getting your vitamin C there. And also I have read reports where the non-organic oranges, like we were saying last week, Bob, would get throat scratching because they're all sprayed so much. And also the soil is depleted, that people don't seem to be getting the ascorbates in their fruit as they used to. You know how I talk about 100 years ago we get 500 milligrams of magnesium. Now we're lucky to get 200. That's across the board with all the nutrients. So, and the other thing is the body does not produce vitamin C, and that's where the orthomolecular people who really promote high-dose vitamin C, they go to the fact that humans don't produce their own, so we need to take a lot more. Well, it may be that it would be good to take a whole food C, but I'm not going to tell people to take 10,000 milligrams of whole food C. That would be very expensive for one thing. But also, it's so medicinal. If you just look at vitamin C, it's, well, I'm not going to do anything else. I'm just going to take high-dose vitamin C. Well, it can do a lot of things. It can push a lot of functions in the body. But I'm not too keen on doing that when I know the body just wants building blocks and it can push its own functions. I don't want to arbitrarily be pushing the body when I don't think it's necessary. And I have said that people in the orthomolecular world have been looking more and more at magnesium, and they do feel that, yes, if you can take enough magnesium to do all the functions magnesium is supposed to do, you're not going to need that high-dose vitamin C. It is medicinal. And actually, let me finish that up by saying I do say to take high-dose magnesium, but to the point where your body is saturated, and then you won't need it. I've proven that in myself and over again with our customers, that at the point where the body is saturated, where your symptoms are gone, where you can miss a day's dose and not get your symptoms back, then you aren't taking the high 2, 3, and 4 teaspoons. I've said many times I used to take 4 teaspoons, and now I'm down to 1 to 1.5. and I'll play with it. If I'm under more stress, I'll take more. So it's not like, they say about high-dose vitamin C where you take 10,000 milligrams for the rest of your life. It's not like that.
And what about rose hips powder, Carolyn? Is that good for vitamin C, or what's up with that stuff?
It is. I mean, I had that in the recipe for the liposomal vitamin C. It's good, but we really don't have measures of how much vitamin C, how much C complex or ascorbates are in it. So I had enough questions about, well, how much is in the liposomal C that we couldn't get our recommended company to always be on board with us for our customers. So we just made our own so we could give a milligram dosage, because I don't know how much is in rose hips.
Very good. Excellent. Okay, and let's see. Susan typed in, Carolyn, and said, I totally agree with Dr. Dean regarding meeting shareholder requirements and quote-unquote cost-saving initiatives of major corporations. In my prior corporate life, I worked for 3 Fortune 100 food manufacturers. When corporate leadership moved from sales and marketing experts to financial experts, every priority initiative had to do with substituting natural food ingredients with artificial flavoring, artificial ingredients to achieve cost savings, and would provide incentives for their custom customers to replace ingredients with cheaper versions for cost savings. The discussions at the conference table are exactly as Dr. Dean described. Sorry for the long diatribe, but she hit a familiar nerve, and it is as it became more difficult to sell food products with petroleum replacement ingredients, chemical emulsifiers, etc. Thank you for listening. Yikes.
Wow. I know. I guess when I was writing Death by Modern Medicine, I came across all this information. I've been on boards before, and I know how everything gets watered down. But thank you, Susan. That's very good of you to share that information. And that's what we all have to be very concerned about.
That's right. That's right. And now
is Susan here? Is Susan here because she got sick being on that board and the products didn't help her? Sorry, Judy.
Oh, that's right. I was just going to say, and now it's death by modern food processing, but it doesn't have to be, and that's the whole thing. Is we want people to be aware, but not to the point of being anxious about it, because you can really get overwhelmed sometimes, I think, Carolyn, and that's one of the benefits of what we do is we've got products that kind of allow you to cancel out those concerns. And I did assemble the information in the blog today, and as I was even reviewing it myself, I'm like, my gosh, if we have Remag, and our other products all put together as beautifully as they are put together in such a comprehensive thing, there's really not a lot to worry about. You really can go to the beach, as our good friend Diane says. So, yeah.
Yeah, and
okay.
If you're buying some organics and making some of your own meals and taking your restructure with you when you be faced with eating crap, then you're doing it already. We're taking care of all these things.
Yep, absolutely, 100%, 100%. We're going to get, Gordon is asking the question, I was recently told I have AFib and the doctor wants me to do lots of tests and procedures, and I'm wondering if magnesium can help me, and the answer is heck yes, Gordon, but we're going to get to your question in the next hour so we can do it a little bit better, and I also give you a little more detail. And the other thing I want to let everybody know is if you want to talk to Dr. Dean next hour, you've got to call into the station, and that number is 602-666-6027. Again, 602-666-6027 is the number to call. And then when you call in, you've got to hit *5 on your keypad, which will raise your hand on our board and let us know that you want to talk to Dr. Dean. Otherwise, your phone stays on mute and you won't be able to talk with her. So again, 602-666-6027, and we'll start taking calls at the beginning of the next hour. And let's see, I think that there was one more question here. No, I think we got them all. So I think we're in good shape there. But great first hour, Carolyn. Such important information for everybody to have. It really, really is.
We save people money. We do.
We do.
Well, we save
health
them
and money.
Yeah, health and money and their very lives. I mean, the way that people are able to respond to the products, and the affordability of the products is shocking when you think about the ratio of what the benefit is. I mean, it really is incredible. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Good first hour.
Yep.
Here we go.
Yep, and Allison typed in and said, thank you so much for this information again today. It's extremely important to helpful and know what has happened to all these originally wonderful Canadian supplements. Wild Rose belonging to Nestle is like a horror movie.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I knew the Wild Rose guy. It's just beyond me what's happened. It just, I don't know how to. It's unexpressible. I will go and take a drink of my minerals.
We have to start all over again. We're starting all over
We'll
again.
be back next hour. That's right. Back next hour, everybody.
After this brief station break. You can also get updates and resources online by visiting drcarolyndean.com.
Psychic radio, holistic radio, spiritual radio. This is achieveradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/achieveradio.
Think of something you hadn't had in a while, like a crazy Italian cream cake, and have it show up, and you not do a thing. You already think of people, and they ring you on the phone now, don't they? Well, reinforce that. And what you'll find then, very quickly, is that there'll be a little cadence. Now, that's a fun way of describing frequency. We call it frequency. And if you frequently get your frequency on, that'll help you in the aligning of frequency. Remember in the old days in the radio, would be driving along, and you'd have to have the knob, and you'd turn it to get it right on station so it'd be clear? Well, you were adjusting your tuner to pick up on that frequency completely. It made no difference how loud the volume was. You get it right on the station, get it right on, and then you could crank it up, and you can have it just as loud as you can stand it. But the easier way to go at this is focus on the frequency of your frequency, and then you'll notice a rhythm or a cadence. And then the rhythm or the cadence will allow you to easily identify and connect with that frequency, or allow your tuner to more easily hit the nail on the head.
You're listening to AchieveRadio.com. A new drummer for a new awakening.
Here we go now. Come to the Carolyn. Here we go now. Here we go now. The wellness scene with Dr. D. Here we go now. Here we go now. Come to the Carolyn. The wellness scene with Dr. D.
Welcome, everybody, back hour 2, live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. Thanks, everybody, for joining us and coming back with us. And, yes, we have our very own Dr. Carolyn Dean here, and we are so happy to have you here. Now, Carolyn, people, it's starting to sink in what you're saying with people, because on the break, people are like, oh, my God, Carolyn. Are you referring to the Canadian company Wild Rose, Dr. Terry Willard, I worked for him for many years. Really, it's now owned by Nestle. So this is what you're saying, Carolyn. This is what Leah wants to know.
Yes, that's correct. Atrium is a Canadian company. Wild Rose is a Canadian company. I knew Terry Willard personally, and I don't know where Terry is now. It would be 20 years or more ago. But, yeah, that's Wild Rose. Done. Yep. Done for.
Done for. Well, we know we won't be having any of that business on our end. Okay, now I want to follow up, too, and answer Gordon's question about how magnesium is going to help his AFib. And then we've got a question here from Mary about her red wine and alcohol, so caffeine. So let's ask her that question first, and then we'll go a little bit over AFib because that's something we haven't talked about recently. Mary types in and says, I understand that caffeine and alcohol have an impact on our ability to absorb magnesium. To what degree does my morning coffee and evening glass of red wine affect my Remag, Remite, and Realign regimen?
Zero.
Wait a minute.
Because Remag doesn't need any help or is not hindered by anything because it's this awesome stabilized ion of magnesium that's picometer size, and it jumps right into the cells. And the Realign is great because it'll help to detoxify your caffeine and alcohol so you can enjoy yourself. So,
right.
There you go. We hit the A button on that.
Very good. And what Mary said was, I understand that caffeine and alcohol impact our ability to absorb. I don't think that's accurate. I think what you've said, Carolyn, is that caffeine and alcohol burn magnesium when magnesium's trying to detoxify the body, like we read about earlier, you guys, or we heard about. So it's not the absorption issue. It doesn't block it from being absorbed. It's just a magnesium waster. Right, Carolyn?
Yes, good point. I mean, I don't know if Mary found those words elsewhere. There's so much false accusations about magnesium all over the Internet, but it's good when people bring them up to us because we can set them straight.
Right. Very good. Nancy types in and says, thank you, listener who asked about standard process, because I have had the same question. I've been taking a variety of them for several years in my guided nutritional program. I will bring this up with my practitioner, the organic issue about them. In recent weeks, I felt like I want to lessen the expenses I have for this program. The concern is that it has turned my health around for the better, so cutting back is a bit worrisome in spite of using the complement formulas for a few years as well. I seem to have reached another plateau. So
yeah, that's good, Nancy. I mean, that's a good point to make. You experiment. You just pull back, take less, see how you feel. People most often will say, I really know what I feel with Remag. And with other supplements, they were, oh, well, I guess I'm just taking them. And a lot of people are taking them because their practitioner told them to. Standard Process has a huge educational arm where they have big seminars for doctors, and they say, oh, you have someone with this disease, they need these 6 supplements. I mean, this is what happens to our customers when they come to us. You remember me talking about someone who had 300 to 500 supplement pills they were taking a day. And this is the recipe book medicine that companies like Standard Process follow. And you've got people, we have customers with 20, 30 different complaints. So they're going to be given 4 or 5 different supplements for each complaint, for Pete's sakes. And most of the time, they're not even taking any magnesium. So people go on magnesium and they find, well, yeah, I feel better on magnesium. Maybe I don't need these others. But when you're attached to a practitioner and they say, oh, you should take this, and you feel like you should. You really have been kind of conditioned into believing that you should be taking products that maybe you don't require. So you have to experiment. Take them away and see if you feel worse. Start them again, see if you feel better.
Hey, Carolyn, Standard Processing, they're applying their stuff to diseases?
Yeah, they do, and the FDA, I don't know how they get around the FDA. But,
okay. Second point, don't go on Drudge, because you'll see a headline today. New study shows that the daily consumption of wine leads to early death.
Right.
But you don't have to worry on our products. We won't be subject to death, right?
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. I did see that. And the other day there was an article that 1 or 2 glasses of wine actually increases longevity. So studies are BS.
BS.
Yeah, you really can't depend on the studies anymore because they will just be promoting the company that's trying to sell them.
And BS stands for Beyond Science. There's no traditional archetypal science being done anymore, people.
No, it's all marketing. Thank you, Bob. Okay, Jenny.
Very good. Okay, now let's say Leah typed back in and said, I'm pretty sure he's on one of the islands. His son Yarrow owns a company called Harmonic Arts. Thank you for confirming this for me. Okay, let's see. Now, let's also go back to Gordon's question, Gordon, about AFib. Carolyn, you want to talk a little bit about...
But we can't talk about AFib. We don't treat AFib, Gordon. We can't.
Yes, I was going to say, yes, that's right. Do you want to talk a little bit about AFib and why it's not a disease, what magnesium deficiency is, and why it's important to work with magnesium to resolve a magnesium deficiency and not rely on drugs and devices?
Right.
You have to work with Remag, not magnesium.
Right, Bob. Okay, so with Gordon here, I think when whatever you wrote into the chat, I don't look at the chat, but something about your doctor wants to do tests. You have to do the tests. We can't tell you to not do the tests. You have to know what's going on with your body, but you also have to look at magnesium and Remag. There's a book I've written on Remag. There's a book I've written on AFib. And if you become educated about magnesium and magnesium deficiency, and you have indications that you may be magnesium deficient, then magnesium is something that you should take in order to resolve your magnesium deficiency. If it so happens that your symptoms of AFib decrease while you're on magnesium, well, there's evidence that you really, as Ginny is saying, you really just had magnesium deficiency and you don't have a disease. But the FDA won't let us say that we're treating AFib. We are just supplying your body with magnesium that it's deficient in to help the structure and function of your heart.
That's right. Now, Gordon, it looks like you might be on the phone. So if you are and you want to talk to Dr. Dean, you've got to hit *5 on your keypad. Otherwise, I won't put you on the phone with her. But if you do want to talk to her, you've got to hit *5. Yeah, I think that's the main thing, Carolyn, is that people, they get a little bit of a kerfuffle. And we talked about this, with the CBD oil. There's no point in taking something if it's not going to address the issue. And if you have a heart rhythm issue because you're deficient in magnesium, then the only way you can resolve that is by getting sufficient in magnesium. And the only magnesium that's really going to get you to that level of saturation is going to be Remag because of the way it's made. Now, Gordon raised his hand and said he wants to talk to you. Do you have a minute to talk with him, Carolyn?
Okay, but we'll go from where we spoke. We've already given him the information that he needs. And is it a new Gordon or an old Gordon? Because we have a lot of Gordons.
I think it's a new Gordon. Let's see.
Okay.
Is this new Gordon?
This is new Gordon.
Okay.
Never been on before.
Okay. Okay. How old are you, new Gordon?
I'm 68.
Okie doke. So what do you want to ask?
Real quickly, I did get your book, The Magnesium Miracle. I just got my supply of Remag and the other one last week, so I'm about a week into it. I do feel better. But what happened to me was I was hiking in South Dakota, and I got real dizzy and nauseated, thought I had vertigo, went to the emergency room. They said, you may have vertigo, but you also have a very bad heart rate. It's very high. They did an EKG, and they said I have AFib. And then the doctor walked in. He says, you're very low on magnesium, so we're going to give it to you intravenously right now. And because we need to bring you up, you're very low on magnesium. And they found it. They said that. And I was 1.7. So they brought it up to 1.9, which was minuscule, and didn't seem to do much. So I flew back to Cincinnati off my vacation. That's where I live, and went to my cardiologist. And I said, hey, he tested me. He said, yeah, you're still in AFib. We probably should do a cardioversion and maybe a cardioablation. And then he said, I said, well, what about magnesium? They said I was low on it in South Dakota. He goes, I don't know anything about magnesium or supplements. This is what you should do.
Yeah.
So I was very disappointed in his response.
Yeah. Well,
so I've been doing magnesium.
Gordon, was this cardiologist new to you? First time you saw
Brand
him
new.
or her? Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
I went to my family doctor for the problem, who referred me to a new cardiologist, and he talked so fast. He gave me about 3 or 4 minutes of his time. He had a room full of sick people, and I was just, shuffled right through the mill.
Right.
So I'm trying the magnesium, and I feel a lot better, honestly.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, if you're an athletic type, hiking and all that, then you probably got, dehydrated for one thing, but maybe you've been sweating out your minerals for a while. That's what...
I think the big thing that happened to us was my wife and I, we very healthy in Cincinnati. We walk, hike, we hydrate, we do all this stuff. But on vacation, you kind of forget it. So we were hiking, and I got kind of had. I used those terms. I got very hot. I had some alcohol the night before. I was in a high altitude that I'm not used to, and I was dehydrated.
Yeah.
So I think those are maybe triggered it.
Yeah, and a smart doctor who knows about magnesium would say, look, maybe you were on the edge of magnesium deficiency. You just made it a lot worse. This is your notice. This is notification that if you don't saturate yourself with magnesium, you're going to end up with a heart condition. Instead of just saying you have a heart condition. And that's what's so frustrating with medicine. I mean, South Dakota knows about magnesium, but Cincinnati doesn't. I mean, that's crazy. There's thousands of studies on magnesium, and it's important. So I guess the thing of it is, though, Gordon, you have to figure out, are you going to take the blood thinners, and are you going to get a cardioversion and take the meds? What you're thinking on that?
Well, I am taking, the doctors in South Dakota said, we don't want to put you on blood thinners because we've really done some MRIs and scanned you, and you don't have any clotting. So they ended up doing a cardioversion on me in South Dakota to try to get it back in rhythm. And he said it worked for about 20 minutes, but then went back into AFib. So we're going to send you home, take some aspirins, take some baby aspirins. We're going to take you off of here's some pills to stop your heart from racing, which I did take on vacation. Then I stopped them because I didn't like the side effects were scary. And I've been home now for about a week, and I'm just doing the magnesium treatment. I did go to my family doctor. I said, could you please test me for magnesium? He said, sure, I can do that. Why do you want to do that? I said, because I was told I was low, and the magnesium helps the heart. And he goes, okay, so go down the hall, and he did a blood test, and it came back 2.3. It was 1.7 in South Dakota. So I raised it up because I started taking magnesium. But he said, oh, you're fine at 2.3. That's well within the range. You're fine.
Have you gotten to the point in the Magnesium Miracle, though, where I talk about the serum magnesium is useless.
Yes, and I realized that I should be more like 6 to 6.5, and I've been doing the Remag, and I make it mineral. I have 32 ounces of this mineral drink every morning, and I can just feel it. It tastes good and it feels good going down.
Right. Yeah. Just one last thing though about the testing. What they've been using serum magnesium, and that range is it looks like about 1.4 to 2.6. The 6 that I talk about is a red blood cell magnesium level.
Okay.
It still isn't perfect. I really tell people go by how you feel. Just get saturated. Go up to, with your symptoms and all, go up to 3 teaspoons a day, 1.5 of Remite, and see if you can saturate your cells enough that they work properly.
That's what I'm going to try.
Okay.
So I recently have your book, and I love reading it, and I'm a new student of yours, and I got your email today, and that's why I jumped on this radio.
Oh, that's great, Gordon. Yeah, the new Gordon has emerged, and
Yes.
It's pretty cool when you're feeling good with the minerals so quickly. It means, as you know, you're pretty healthy, and you're just on the edge of something, and you caught it in time. So it's great, and just keep taking your aspirin, keep taking what they told you to, as long as it doesn't make you feel horrible. And then as you improve, you won't need anything.
Yeah, I'm currently not taking any other drugs. I'm just taking the baby aspirin and some extra magnesium. I take a little bit of vitamin C and a few other supplements, and that's it.
Okay, good. Yeah, the aspirin's fine. I wish we knew more about this whole blood clotting business with AFib. We really don't. Medicine jumped right to the ablations and the drugs without really giving us a good assessment of who's at risk. So, I can't. If you were on a blood thinner, I'd tell you to stay on it because we don't want any accidents. And we know with people who are low in magnesium, they feel better on so many levels that it's just a matter of time building up your magnesium stores.
I think I'm a believer, and I'm probably going to continue using it the rest of my life. I knew nothing about magnesium until the doctor said you're low on magnesium. I didn't know what he was talking about, so I was totally ignorant.
So what did you do? You Googled and you came across my book?
I did. I started Googling. I said AFib, books on AFib, and there you popped up. I ordered your book from Amazon. I got the Remag from Amazon. I probably should call you direct on that. But I got the mineral. I make 32 ounces every morning. I'm only about a week into it, though, and I can always feel a difference. I don't feel tired, near as tired. I mean, no naps in the afternoon or anything.
Right. Awesome. So, okay, Gordon, you're in.
Okay, thank you. I'd love the club.
Yeah. You can give Gordon a pass, Ginny. He's got a hall pass.
Oh, good. Thank you. Okay.
I thought you were going to say you can give Gordon some praise. Or wait.
Wow, thank you.
We're celebrating with you, Gordon. That's awesome. Very happy for you.
Yay.
Very happy for you.
Love to everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Best to your wife. Tell her to take the Remag too.
Yes,
she's taking some. I'm going to tell her to take some too. Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Bye-bye.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Okay.
Hey, Carol, when you say 3 teaspoons, do you mean twice a day?
No.
Oh, okay.
3 teaspoons through the day. Okay, Ginny.
Yes, I was going to say Gordon did exactly what he was supposed to do. He got the word, he found the book, he read the book, he got the Remag, and now he is safe and secure forever.
The worst is over.
The worst is over. And that's just, isn't that incredible? I mean, it's just like the ultimate exit off of the freeway, of the exit ramp off of the drugs and devices destiny. It's just so beautiful. I'm just so happy for him. That's awesome. Very, very awesome.
It was this doctor in South Dakota in ER that told him, that ran the magnesium test. And even on a serum magnesium, he was way low. So, yeah, thank goodness for that San Diego doctor. How many people have not been told about magnesium and stumble around for months and even years before they find out?
Yes, no, we agree about this. Yeah, absolutely about the South Dakota doctor. And there are good doctors out there who are doing that kind of stuff, probably because they read your book. And we know a lot of doctors who recommend. I mean, we get emails every day in customer service. My doctor told me to get this product. My doctor told me to get this product. You know, they may not carry it in their office, but they know what it is. And I think that's so yay for that doctor, too. Wait a minute. We'll give them a little yay.
Yes.
Okay, now.
Hey,
Bob,
Ginny,
Bob is interrupting once again.
This highway that Gordon got off, it goes to a city whose population is increasing daily. It's called Rabbit Hole. That's what happens. You get on the main highway.
No, it's not, Bob. It's called Dobbstown. Stop it. You're getting it.
No, that's what the off-ramp is to Dobbstown. I'm saying the terrible city that's populating and the mainstream highway is Rabbit Hole, Earth.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, it is a mess out there, but we're happy Gordon's on the right path now.
Okie dokie. What? Now, I have tons of mailbag, but I'm sure you have calls and chats, so we'll keep doing that.
Okay, we have one last question that we'll get to. And that's by the way, if you're on the phone, you've got to hit star 5 on your keypad, or I won't know you've got a question for Dr. Dean. 602-666-6027 is the phone number. If you're calling in, you've got to hit star 5 on your keypad. That'll raise your hand in the studio and let me know. Otherwise, you'll remain on mute and you won't be able to talk to Carolyn. Mary gave you the perfect setup, Carolyn. She says, hi, Dr. Dean. I currently take Remag and Remite and Realign. Please explain the need and positives for the RNA drops.
Oh, well, what we're realizing, Mary, is the RNA drops are the catalyst. They are the living catalyst. And rather than give it away, I really do think you should tune in to Thursday's webinar. If you can't tune in live, then it'll be sent out to everybody, the YouTube where you can find it. We've got a lot to say about the RNA drops, and they are our basic structure and function and catalyst and promoter of all that we do. It seems they're just pretty awesome, and we do have some experiments to tell you about, and we do encourage their use. We are putting dehydrated RNA drops, smaller amounts, in a lot of our products now so that everybody can experience them. But to get the liquid RNA drops, I think, is pretty important. Bob does say that you can't ascend if you don't have the RNA drops. And we'll ask Bob for proof of that. But what's the proof of that, Bob? Can you prove that RNA drops are a requirement for ascension?
I am. I was a total lost soul until I took the drops.
Okay, now that's something that I can validate and verify right there. I can say with 100% surety that is an accurate statement Bob just made.
Okay.
I got you, Bob. Got you on that one. Okay. I think we're going to Cornwall, Ontario, Canada for a phone call, I think, because it looks like the hand is waving. Area code 613. You're on the line with Dr. Dean. Did you have a question or comment?
Yes, I did. Hi, Dr. Dean. My name is Glenn. For the last 4 years, I've been going to a naturopathic doctor to try to get the heavy metals out of my body through IV chelation and DMSA capsules. And I've done probably 15 IV chelation and over 100 DMSA capsules, and they're not budging the mercury or the lead hardly at all.
Wow.
So I've started the Remag Remite. Can they alone improve the pathways that the body will then release it?
We believe they can because that's where the minerals are required, and our Remag Remite minerals are absorbed so well cellularly they should be motivating those pathways. Now, are you symptomatic of these heavy metals? Is it Glenn? Did I get your name right?
Glenn. Yeah, Glenn.
Okay. Are you symptomatic?
Not specifically, no neurological issues because of it, but I've had candida most of my life. I was treated for acne when I was 12 years old with tetracycline for 8 years.
Oh,
and
damn.
I remember having skin issues as a teenager, and the doctors didn't know what it was, and they couldn't help me. And I'm 59.
Yeah.
So I've started everything, your entire protocol to finally wipe this out once and for all.
Right.
But it's been a lifetime. So I've got all the yeast overgrowth symptoms that you could possibly have, but no neurological issues. But I wanted to do the heavy metal.
Yeah, how are you being diagnosed, Glenn? Hair analysis or what?
For the heavy metals?
Yeah.
It was urine analysis.
Do they do provocation?
What I would do is I would take 4 high-strength DMSA capsules to pull it out of the cells, and
Yeah, so then you do have the metals in there. And, they seem to go along with yeast. So the way to get the immune system directing to the heavy metals is to get rid of the yeast. So, that definitely is where you should focus. And, our yeast protocol, I'm really keen on the Pico Silver being able to help boost the immune system as well. So, that.
Yes, and
well, what you'll do, Glenn, is if you can write a weekly update, send it into customer service and tell them to shoot it to me so I can keep on top of this and see how you're doing. Okay.
You
send
I am
that
taking
to support.
Okay. I am taking the Pico Silver as well.
Sorry, Glenn. Yeah, send it to support at rnareset.com. So you're doing the Pico Silver. Okay, good.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm doing that as well. Now, I don't understand with that product, do we just take that 2 or 3 times a day with food, or do we put it in the water as well?
You can put, I see what you mean. I would take it apart from the gel, the psyllium gel, and take it the teaspoon 2 or 3 times a day, with or without food. It doesn't have much taste. You can actually put it in with your Remag and Remite, put all the liquids together.
Okay. Now,
but,
after
instead of, let me just fine-tune that. Instead of switching that out, keep taking the Pico Silver right straight through. And the other antifungals you'll rotate because you want to really get after this.
After doing this for maybe 3 to 6 months, should I go back and go on DMSA again?
Yeah, I think if you have the provocation with the 4 and do the urine sample, just to see how you're doing. I mean, the thing of it is, if you don't have symptoms of heavy metal poisoning, it's like your body's kind of adapted. My concern with so many chelations is that it pulls out other minerals. And I mean, hopefully after, like, say, 6 months or so of Remag, Remite, and you should put in the Realign as well, because that is specific for heavy metal poisoning, Realign.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do all three at 6 months, do your 4-BMSA, do the urinalysis, and we'll see if it's reduced.
Yeah. Okay, I am doing the Realign as well. The only product I did not order yet was the RNA drops.
Okay.
But they were out of stock when I placed the original order, so I'll be checking in to make sure they're back. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah,
okay.
We're doing the webinar, and we're going to relaunch the RNA drops.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm serious. I want you to keep in touch because I don't know what's going on that you still have all that heavy metals. What you'll do is maybe send me some of your results so I can see, make sure what your levels are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They're not high, but from my point of view, my level should be at 0.
Right.
You know, not to have any at all. So
right.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Well,
I'll do that.
Yeah, and actually, it's probably exactly what you should be doing. Is after doing all that heavy duty chelation, now you're going to just do the gentle stuff just to mop up. Because if you keep forcing too much chelation and detoxification, as I said, it's going to pull out other stuff that we're not even aware of. So yeah, That's good. You're in a good place. Okay?
Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you very much.
Okay, Glenn. Good talking to you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye now.
Okay, excellent, Carolyn. Let's press on with the important things you would like to talk about in the mailbag and such.
Okay. Here's a total body reset case from Julie, our wonderful customer service rep who takes care of people on the total body reset. So a couple recently started the total body reset, Paul and Connie. So Paul has hypothyroidism since mid-90s, endocarditis, which is an infection of the inner lining of heart and his heart valves, from 2007, mitral valve prolapse, diagnosed 2007, atrial fibrillation 2008, open heart surgery 2016 for the mitral valve repair, and they tried to do a scarification of his heart for the AFib, total knee replacement on the right July 2017, ventral hernia repair because they're one of the surgeries caused a herniation. And then so after they did the scarification for AFib, it returned in 2 days. So he's on Coumadin, a thyroid medley, synthetic levothyroxine, and a beta blocker for his AFib. His wife, Connie, had a stroke August 2015, but she did very well. She, however, still has weakness and hyperextension of her right knee, residual foot drop. She wears ankle support for stability, but she is mobile. She has some residual brain injuries, still suffers from overstimulation and shutdown, or kind of a shock feeling after unexpected noise, extreme stress, or a loud environment. She's on a blood thinner, levothyroxine, a beta blocker, calcium channel blocker, and a statin. Now, that's a lot going on, you must admit. So under 3 weeks ago, Paul started the Remag, Remite, Realign. 2 weeks ago, Connie started Remag, Remite, I think. Paul's up to 3 teaspoons twice daily. Already he's saying, I can tell you I have much more mental clarity. I have more balance. He said the mechanics of fixing the knee and leg really messed up my balance. He had that knee surgery. He says, I've been getting better sleep. I can't wait to see all the end results of this. Indications of success. I'm able to go on a business trip tomorrow to Oklahoma, then to North Texas for more intense work, and then back. I could not have done all this a few weeks ago. Connie, yes, just Remite so far. Now she's starting very slowly. She's up to 3 drops once daily. It seems so slow, but we do understand this takes time. She's also seeing positive results already. She's sleeping better, over 9 hours last night. Blood pressure seems to be responding and leveling out. Big caps. We are grateful. So I mention this because when these are the customers that come to us, when we find out the history of our customers, it could slay you. But we just sort of stand firm and say, well, just take the drops. And like Julie, she had indication that Connie just needed to go real slow, so that's what they're doing. And even at a few drops, she's improving. And that's awesome. I mean, we're just so happy. The next, someone sent me this information asking me about Himalayan salt and said, well, you know, and this is a so-called friend of mine, and he said, well, you know, you're saying that Himalayan salt is so good, but there's stuff on the internet that talks about fluoride in Himalayan salt. And we've heard this over, on and off. Now, what there is out there is well, maybe I'll start this way. Himalayan salt contains 70, 80 different minerals. One of them is fluoride. It's listed. Fluoride is natural in the earth. And so what some people are saying, I think, to promote their sea salt or Himalayan salt is that, well, Himalayan salt is dangerous because it's got fluoride. So it may be, once again, the commercialization, the fighting between brands. So I found articles, and someone was saying this anti-Himalayan salt article was posted by sellers of other types of salts, which they claim have lower levels of fluoride. It was meant to scare you away from other sources of salt so they would make more money. Secondly, we cannot comment on all sources of Himalayan salt, but we can state that. So someone is promoting theirs, and what they say is just ask the company for their certificate of analysis, which shows minimal to very low fluoride. And I just said to this friend, if people get the conflict of fluoride in their minds, I just tell them to seek a source that says fluoride-free or ask for a certificate of analysis of content. I personally don't feel it's a big deal. I take enough Remag to overcome any of these trace toxins. And someone else said, well, Himalayan salt is radioactive. And I said, well, that's an assumption because the whole world is radioactive. Wherever we live and whatever our lifestyle, we are exposed to radiation. Most radioactive material is natural and has been present throughout history. Radioactivity has been coming out of volcanoes forever. Volcanoes release a lot of material, and some of it is radioactive. Naturally occurring thorium, uranium, radon, etc., are all in the materials emitted by volcanoes. And I just sort of slapped his wrists a bit, and I said, instead of fear-mongering about it and scaring people about it, we allow our bodies to adapt. I'm getting people to adapt to their environment by taking my products. Remag helps. The RNA drops help. Also, this was interesting, Jenny, to see this. The EPA is helping people not to be concerned by changing the standard of radiation. Of course, this will freak people out even more, but we have to learn to adapt. Did you hear that the EPA says a little radiation may be good for you? It kind of sounds like our ion friend, where our bodies are able to adapt. I really, truly believe that. Ginny, do you have a comment?
Well, I agree that they have to adapt because epigenetically there's no evidence that they don't. There's no evidence that the body can't adapt. Right? So
yeah.
they have to.
Very good. Yes, I often think of the timing in the first few years of my practice. I started in 1979, and in the early 80s, I was getting all the people in my practice who were allergic and sensitive, and there was this whole kind of backlash of people just not being able to cope with the environment, the toxicity of the environment. We don't hear that as much anymore. Maybe it's because people have many more symptoms, but there's this whole multiple chemical sensitivity that people began to express when we began to learn how toxic our environment is. And who knows how much of a placebo that was, or a nocebo, that people just were freaking out at the thought of all this pollution. And I know it's very real for a lot of people, and I know that we're being a benefit to these people because we get reports all the time of people with multiple chemical sensitivities, and they're the ones that slowly begin the drops of our minerals, and they slowly improve. But yes, people can adapt if they have the right building blocks, and that's what we provide.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the mind is a little bit of a barrier, Carolyn, because, a lot of these studies that they do epigenetically and they look at the performance of a cell. The cell's in a petri dish, and it does not have to deal with the interference of a mind. If you take a cell and you put it in a petri dish, it will actually turn the toxin into a food source. It will modify its own DNA so that it can survive, because the impulse at a cellular level is for life, and that's all. So, it's when the mind gets involved that the adaptation is, slowed down, but it certainly doesn't have to be impeded because, like I said, at a cellular level, there's no evidence that we won't adapt. So what you're doing is providing the perfect information and the perfect building blocks, and that's a winning combination for a lot of people, like you pointed out.
That's cool. Very nice. Cells in a petri dish will adapt, but in the body, the mind can interject its bias.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. That's like the 3-2-1. You have to step out of the way and allow your body to work with these minerals. And that's what a lot of our customer service is about, is telling people just be patient, just step away from the computer, stop Googling, just go about your business, and then get back to us.
Yeah, that's right. After you feel much better, get back to us.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, more mailbag?
Yes, please.
Facebook. I have used Remag for about 2 years. I had AFib and have managed to stay out of the hospital since starting Remag. I will never stop taking it. Facebook. Best magnesium out there. Magnesium Miracle Book, very good read. Low magnesium can cause all kinds of issues, including high blood pressure and insomnia. It takes a while for it to level out once you use a good magnesium that you are absorbing, but you'll see some improvement right away, especially for sleeping. I tried different brands of chelated magnesium, but I didn't get the results I'm getting with the Remag. I have a dental testimonial. I made it through surgery, removing infected bone in all 4 wisdom teeth sites. I can't say it was fun, but I'm very pleased with my recovery so far. My dentist and medical doctor are both amazed with the speed of recovery. We hear that all the time. I didn't have to take any pain meds. Just reading the warning label on the codeine scared me to death. One night I had some severe pain, decided to soak a gauze with Remag and put it on the site. It took about 20 minutes to calm down, and soon I got to sleep. By day 3, I was sleeping 8 hours a night along with 2-hour naps. By day 5, I was only needing 8 hours at night. I started taking Restructure as I was told to increase protein for recovery. Love the taste. I increased my Remag to 3 teaspoons and took 4 teaspoons of Pico Silver. I used Remag lotion externally on my swollen jaw. I started this a week before surgery, and I'm still on that regimen, currently on day 8. I was on antibiotics for 7 days. I was wondering if anyone had written in to use Remag or Pico Silver topically for bruising, and yes, they have. And I also told her to get some arnica. I do believe the success with my recovery includes your products, along with acupuncture treatments. Then she said there's a lab report to see what nasty things were locked into those sites. And what's interesting is I've written a blog about what this lady reported about some antibiotic-resistant organisms. So I'll be blogging that, but I won't. It's a big topic, so I won't mention that today. Which reminds me, I'm not. I haven't talked about blogs, but anyway, more Facebook. I've just discovered these unbelievable, amazing products. After 56 years of illness, I have found my holy grail. I'm so grateful for Dr. Carolyn. This might have gone out in a marketing email about our lovely friend Joan in Canada, who says that she's realized that the Pico Silver stops her sweaty, stinky feet, that she only gets under real stress. So that's amazing, spraying the Pico Silver in your shoes to stop smelly feet. So that was very sweet.
And Carolyn, I was just wondering about that situation. I mean, do you think that that's just an overall, I mean, it's not, she didn't go out of her way to do that. That's just what happened. Biologically, that would have to be a change in her microbiome, right?
Well, we should ask her and really get the dope on this. Because she sent it to you as well. Right. I mist liberally into my shoes before and after each wearing, not just the insoles. So she's using it locally. But actually, you know what happened with Joan is she was using it so much externally that she wasn't using it orally. And when I got back to her about what are you doing orally, she said, "Oh my gosh, I've been just using it externally." So she'll have some input for us, I'm sure. Okay,
very good.
Thanks. Another testimonial. Thank you for your wonderful products. I had suffered for over 15 years with terrible leg and foot cramps. Over 2 years ago, I started having tics in my eyelids every day, usually several times a day. At that time, I was diagnosed with high blood pressure and began taking medication. The blood pressure pills made me feel weak and extremely tired. I knew I had to take charge of my own health. Then I heard Dr. Dean being interviewed on Dr. Mercola's and ordered her book, Magnesium Miracle. I liked what she had to say, so I ordered Remag. And in less than 3 weeks, My leg cramps went away after 15 years. I increased the dosage, added Remite, and my eyelid tick stopped. My blood pressure also has dropped to a normal range. I'm 73 years old and haven't felt this good in years. Wow. Awesome. And let me just go to blogs, Ginny. I don't know if I even remember where we left off. So, what, Bob? Oh, yeah. Someone wrote into Bob's show last night that they were at a concert. Our friends Reiner and Gail, she's a music composer, he's a sculptor. They came out of the concert, and the composer who gave the concert was lying on the sidewalk. She'd fainted out. She'd under stress, low blood sugar, low blood pressure, whatever. So Reiner got Gail, asked Gail if she had any Remag. She had some Remag lotion. She went over to the woman. They all knew this woman, and rubbed some Remag lotion on her forehead, her wrists, and upper forearms. And within apparently seconds, she jumped up. She just sat right up, like Lazarus, they said, that she revived, and everybody was just totally shocked. There was a big Remag discussion after that. So that was a totally awesome testimonial.
What did you think of that one, Ginny? What happened to Ginny?
I'm right here. Yes, I absolutely thought that was awesome, Bob. That was so cool. Yeah, great testimonial.
Ginny heard it on the show,
On
okay,
Saturday,
so just a couple blogs. The last one is treating inhaled allergies, including mold. Now, I didn't give mold enough attention. I'll do a blog pretty soon to follow up. But just from my Future Health Now encyclopedia, there are things you can do for allergies. You do not have to just go on medications and or suffer. Next one, October 3rd, was U.S. life expectancy going down. So you cannot tell me anymore that we've got the best health care in the world, because we are not living longer. September 30th, the American Heart Association is actually telling people to take these synthetic sweeteners. I mean, it's appalling to me. It's like they don't have any studies to show that they're safe, and because they don't have any studies to show they say that they're not safe, they tell people, okay, go ahead. It is really crazy because
they're running out of options, Carolyn. They don't have any solutions anymore.
Yeah, but for the American Heart Association to dive in and say, oh, yeah, you diabetics can take these synthetic sweeteners, it just boggles me.
Oh, then you start thinking Agenda 21.
Yeah, or you think that the American Heart Association is probably getting funding from the sugar lobby groups, and they have to make a statement, or I mean the artificial sweetener lobby groups. So just follow the money, folks.
What's an iconic name for sugar lobby groups? You got Monsanto for GMO. What's a big name in sugar?
Don't know. I just say sugar lobby groups. The people that came after me in Canada, they were just
Coca-Cola.
All right.
Yeah. Coca-Cola, Pepsi. I mean, PepsiCo, you got to, yeah, absolutely. They were the ones who shut down Michelle Obama, because she came out against childhood obesity the very first day of Barack's, presidency, and said she was going after sugar, and that lasted about 2.3 seconds, and by the time February rolled around, she was taking on childhood obesity through exercise. Oh,
gosh. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They shut you down. September 26th. Yeah, these are on drcarolyndean.com. September 26th, more bad news about benzos. Medscape is warning doctors that benzos are a bad choice for the elderly because less people, I guess, are being given opioids. We're seeing a real resurgence in benzodiazepines, Valium, Ativan, that sort of thing.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
I hate it when anybody starts their email into customer service with, I'm trying to get off benzos. I just hate it because know the struggle they're in is just horrible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, on the inserts of benzos, they say for short-term use only, which is 2 weeks. And we have people who've been on them for years. And, of course, in the elderly, they're related to increased risk of falls and fractures and an increased risk for Alzheimer's, for Pete's sakes. So, give them Remag and Remag lotion. You can even put Remag lotion in a standard hand cream and give it over so that the people in the nursing home don't think it's a medication. Heaven forbid.
Yeah. Hey, Karen, can you put the Remag in Pepsi?
Yeah. I don't know. I suppose you could, and that's why we won't sell out, because that's what they'll start doing.
Really quick, Carolyn, let me just ask this question on behalf of Vicki. Taking Remag, Remite, Realign, and Silver to start RNA drops, what, if any, of these have an effect on remembering my dreams? I just noticed this past 2 weeks.
Realign, the B vitamins, I don't know if it's B6 specifically, but they can affect the dreams. So can the RNA drops, for sure.
Okay.
Dreams
and also, Pico Silver, would you say you could use it as a deodorant?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Spray it under your arms. I'm going to do that.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much, Jenny.
All right. Thanks, Jenny.
Good show.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Bill.
Good
Thanks,
night, everybody.
listeners.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. Till next time, so long, and thanks for all the fish.
AchieveRadio.com.
When it's much more simple than that. You have a physical body. Your physical breathing, blood pumping, mucus creating physicality that has access to non-physical.